Okay, so the first technique that we're going to look at in Kodachi-jutsu, right? We're looking at the Tenjin Ryu here. So out of our 7 traditions, we're working out of Tenjin Ryu. The first 2 techniques are extremely basic in this series of kata we're going to work on. Again, I just want to throw this out there. We have 7 traditions. Sometimes, you know, we work on one tradition before we get to another tradition, et cetera, et cetera. You guys have done a lot of work in Eishin-ryū Iaijutsu, one of our other traditions, so these first couple of kata might look a little basic, okay? In this particular set, what we're looking at is the Kodachi, right? So we're going to be looking at the short sword versus a long sword, okay? Now, the biggest part of the fighting between a short sword and long sword is you've got to be able to get in. So you've got to manipulate the situation, use diversion, deception, get them to attack or get them to step back. You're getting them to do something which opens the gate, right, for you to go in and take advantage of that situation. So the first, like I said, the first technique in Kodachi-jutsu and Tenjin Ryu is extremely, extremely easy. We're going to be able to run through it and then move on from there, okay? So he's going to open up. We're both going to go to Chudan, right? Now from Chudan, let's back up a little bit. Let's get over here. So there we go. Now you're good. So from Chudan Kamae, right? Now from here, what I'm trying to do is he's going to start coming my way, and I'm going to kind of really emphasize this, right? So I'm going to kind of make a quick stab, and as I make a stab, he's going to step back with his lead foot and go to Jodan. And I'm just like this right now. He sees, notice I'm leaning in. He's going to cut in. Go ahead. I'm going to step off, and then I come in with my strike right here. You guys see how I did that? So I'm basically coming in a way to force him to move to create the opening. And when you're dealing with, like I said, the short sword technique, this is what you've got to do. You've got to create diversion, deception, create openings, find the gap in the enemy defense, you know, very ninja, right? To open up the gaps and attack the gaps. So let's look at that again. We're going to start from Chudan. And we're in Chudan Kamae. I'm crunching forward, I'm forward. And once we get really close, I'm going to lunge. And when I lunge in for my stab to kind of make him think I'm coming in, he's just going to simply come back and go into Jodan. Now from here, I'm going to lower down, and he sees that opening. Then I hit, and then I come in here with my Kiriroshi, right? All right, so you guys get the technique? So now we're looking at the second waza, right? This one's a little bit more intricate than the first technique. Okay, so the Kodachi, the second kata, the second technique in the set. Now again, we're going to pull, both of us are going to start out in the Chudan, right? Now, the first few techniques, it's clear I'm holding a short sword, they have a long sword. It's not I'm trying to hide the length of the blade like we see in some of the shinobi katana techniques or ninja sword, you know, ninja toe or whatever, you know, kind of thing, or maybe leaning back in this. First couple is pretty up front. They've got the full-length sword, and I have a short sword, okay? Now, from here, this is where, instead of like we did last time we lunge, here we're going to create an opening and let them take advantage of it, okay? Now, as we're here, we're in this position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start lowering my sword a little bit. We're kind of facing off. I'm going to lower, and then I'm going to start leaning, see, like this. He sees it, and he lunges in. As soon as he lunges in with the ski, what I'm going to do, go ahead and come on in there, right? I'm going to put that sword up like this. See how tight I am? And as I step forward with my leg, this sword's going to flip over, and I'm going right to the wrist. You know what I mean? It might be easier if we kind of switch on the sides, you know, for the camera so she gets a better view here. So I'm in Chudan, yep, and I'm here, and as I lower and he comes in, I'm going to push up like this, and I'm just going to come around right here on that, just like that, see? All right, here, lower, go ahead. Here, right in like this. See the technique? So one more time. I back up just a tad here. Right here, and the idea, again, is creating that opening. If I'm here, I can still kind of keep him at bay. See, I can knock his sword away, right? So what I'm doing to create that opening is I'm just going to simply lower the sword. Now, once I get to this position, one into the suigetsu, he's trying to stab in, trying to come in center mass, right? So again, as he comes in, I'm going to push. I want that as tight as I can as I'm pushing off, and I'm going to rotate the sword over and come right in there. So the third kata in this particular set of Kodachi-jutsu, now we're going to look at how to utilize it with using a long sword with it, okay? So again, we've talked about strategy, principles, using strategy. When you're using a short sword versus a long sword, you got to close the gap, you got to use deception, you got to use, you know, all that, this kind of thing, right? Distraction, deception, you got to create openings, you got to attack the gap in the enemy defense, all this kind of stuff, right? In this particular kata, we get to the point to where we're kind of locked up, right? And we're in this kind of a standstill. And we're going to use that opening that we've created to then finish our opponent, okay? So in this kata, let's both long sword, and we're going to go to Chudan. Now from Chudan, we're both going to be here, and as we kind of inch forward, we're going to step forward into Hasso. Very similar to what we've seen other sword techniques, right? Now once we're here, we're coming in, both of us are going to come into that Kesagiri, right? So as we come in, and we're banging here, and we push forward, we have Suba to Suba. Now see, we're in this particular position here. The way the kata teaches when you're here, I'm going to use my Taiken, that body strike here, and under the Mune, and I'm going to push my blade like this. I'm grabbing my sword here, the Kodachi, and that's where I'm going to get this cut across the gut this way. Does that make sense? So the idea with this particular technique is when you come in, you're striking, you slide up and you're in a standstill. Now, we're going to be so close. Come back over again. Watch this. We're going to be so close. Bang! We slide in and kind of push it. Let's get a little bit more extension. Yeah, we're here. See the distance we have. I need distance. He can't. So right now, even though we're very close, I can still do this to him. Hell, he could do it back. Yeah? So what we need to do is I need to take advantage of this. That's where the back of my blade, I'm going to use my shoulder and bump it. That, do you see how I've done that? And that is what gets me the opportunity. So I've got my shoulder into him here. You guys catch what I'm saying? That gets me this, and as I pull, that's where I gut through the stomach here. Now, the cut you use is going to be based on the area that you have. So you might go forward with it, you might be stepping back with it, but that's kind of the idea of the technique, to create that opening. Here, as I step forward, here, push, Taiken, grab, and then come across the gut.